Hi everyone, I'm JD. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, I think now we're up to Art Stories Part 7. The playlist will be below for the art series in case you want to catch up on it. But this one is called Orange Tree, and all about how if God gives you an orange tree, give your best oranges. So all about just giving your best in life with anything, any area. Don't give your smallest oranges, don't give your rotten oranges, but give your best oranges in whatever you do. Nice simple message for that one. This one's called Trash to Treasure. And this one came about because I literally had no plan. I was experimenting. I was just seeing if I could sit down with my pencils and just see what came out and trust the process. And that is what the picture ended up being about. Was I don't have to plan everything out. I could just trust the creative process, that when you start creating something meaningful and beautiful can come out. And from trash, from I don't know, whatever trash can mean for you guys in an analogy, treasure can come out of it when you use it to express yourself, to create something. And yeah, I just did a forest of trees, and the leaves on the trees are these diamonds which represent the treasure, and that there's just lots of treasure falling. There's never a shortage of treasure in us when we create and express ourselves. This one's not really a drawing, it was more just pure expression. I didn't know what to draw. All I knew was, when I feel strongly and I am kind of in a place of just pure emotion, I find that drawing helps me. As a writer, usually writing is the thing that I find therapeutic, and it helps me to clarify what I'm thinking about and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm so overwhelmed with a feeling or feelings and I don't know what it is, the best way for me to get it out is through drawing. And this one was all kind of about boredom. If that can be believed. How is this about boredom? All about confusion and just a lot of different words and feelings that I felt, rage, annoyed, stress, confusion, help, trapped, tense, stupid, all these things, frustration, I don't understand, it's this phrase up here, all different things that I was feeling in one go, fear, hatred, pain, did I say this? Passive aggressive. So yeah, I was just like this swirl of all this, and it actually came at a time in my life when I was going through what I call one of the causes of my depression was existentialism. Basically, the idea of what the heck is the point of even being here, what's my purpose in life, what's the meaning of life, what's the meaning of anything that I do. If there's no meaning, then what's the point, and then I can get depressed if I don't see any meaning. But also one of the causes of my depression that goes alongside that is sheer boredom. So if I'm not doing anything, I can get into real depressive funks, because I'm like, oh, I just have wasted this day. And I am a goals person. I love projects, I love lists, I love getting things done, but I need to have meaning in what I'm doing. And if there's no meaning, well then what's the point? And so this was just all about that kind of thought in this picture. It all just came out. Alright, this one, okay. This is kind of one of my favorites, I suppose. It came from an insight from a book by Krista Black-Gifford called Heart Made Whole. And there was this theory of the heart that she introduced me to, which really helped me. So basically, the theory goes that there's 3 parts of the heart. One is the emotional heart that feels things. One is the guardian heart that wants to protect you, and then the other one is the function heart, which goes about the daily living. And she was just saying how you can use your imagination to check in with each of these parts of your heart, to listen to them, because our heart is our friend, it's part of us, it's who we are, and we need to listen to our heart and nurture it and look after it and check in with these 3 parts of it. And I realized that well, yeah, I just never did that. I completely just ignored my heart. And so when I spent this time just having this check-in with my parts of my heart, I found that my emotional heart was just, out of control. She was in a rage. She was screaming. She was ripping things up like in a room, tearing things apart because no one was listening to her. And then this guardian heart was just telling the emotional heart, shut up, be quiet, don't let anyone know you're there. You can't have emotions. And she's trying to shut down this part of the heart because she's trying to protect me from the pain. She doesn't want me to feel the pain that this girl is feeling. So she thinks she's doing a good job. But when you suppress this part, well, then the function part, the only way you can function is to, for me, pretend everything's okay. So here I am, a little girl. I've got papers here and I'm ordering them because for me to feel a sense of control, one of the things I do is I like things in order. And I was like, when I started feeling out of order, I saw myself in my, imagination. I went to my dresser and I got out some makeup, and as a little girl, I just put it all on my face to cover that up. So it's like, oh, I feel like I am losing control. Okay, better get some makeup, cover it all up, and we're fine. We're good. We're going to smile and we're going to say we're okay and everything's fine. And I'm singing la 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 la, like everything's fine here, nothing to see, we're all good. And so that was my heart. And no wonder my heart was at war. It was in conflict. It felt like my heart was in turmoil, going through all of this stuff. And no wonder I finally could understand why, because all three of these parts were at war with each other. This one's like, listen to me. This one's saying, shut up. And this one's like, just ignore both of you. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. And so I had to, I suppose, learn to listen to this emotional heart. She just wants to be listened to. Emotions aren't bad. It's something I've had to learn. They just are trying to communicate something to you. They're trying to tell you something. They're trying to help you. So listen to them. Otherwise, you become kind of out of control. And this guardian heart, yes, she wants to look after you and protect you from pain. But the best way is to literally not shut this down, but for guardian heart to perhaps do something like, hey, how can I help you? What can I do for you? How can we make you feel better again? And then this one can then function properly, not trying to cover all this up and struggle with it all and fight and spend all of this energy and effort into hiding all this. Do you know how much energy and effort that takes? That you just don't have any energy or effort for anything else because you're just trying to keep a lid on what's going on inside you. And so when you can listen to this one and take care of her, you can then function healthily and be true. And maybe this function heart can then maybe express some of this rather than let this run out of control and angry. So that's that one. I want to share something else about this, or maybe I'll share it later on, but hold that thought in your mind about the imagination. This one's called No Entry, and it's all about, again, inspired by that book, Heart Made Whole, how I used to think my heart was my enemy. I didn't want my heart, I didn't like it, because I'm talking about the emotional part here. I thought emotions were bad, wrong. I was really skeptical of them. I didn't want emotions, I didn't want my heart if it would hurt me. So I just, ignored it, suppressed it, whatever. But so this one's all about how I would block people from it, but block myself from it. Here I am over here, and I need to, get in touch with my own heart, which was a novel concept for me. My heart was in pain, and my response to that was, just squash it down. And that was the wrong response. I needed to go, how can I look after you, heart? I'm here for you. How can I nurture you and ease your pain? And so that was a skill or something that I had to learn to do, was to look at my heart, look at its pain, look at which can hurt, to look at the reality of, okay, you're hurt, you're bruised, you're battered, and then to go, all right, what can I do to help, rather than run away from my heart, which is what I was doing. Okay, so my heart is my friend. I had to learn. My heart is my friend. It's only there to help me. this one is about a tribute to books. So I love books. Books are one of my favourite things in the entire world, and I get so many insights from them, as you can tell from a lot of these drawings. I feel like God uses books in a big way in my life to speak to me, to teach me, to grow me, to change my thinking, to change my thoughts, to change my beliefs and behaviour, to change my life. So this one is just a tribute to my favourite books. There's all different ones. Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg, Bird by Bird by Anne Lamont, The Trouble with Paris. I mean, I could go, there's so many. The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch, don't know how you say it. These are some of my favourite authors throughout my life. Enid Blyton, Roald Dahl, Paul Jennings, Morris Gleitzman, John Marsden, Isabel Carmody, David Eddings, Weiss and Hickman, they're fantasy writers, as is Feist, Raymond E. Feist. Love Bill Bryson, Rob Bell, C.S. Lewis, Brown. Who is Brown? Okay, so this is when, Dan Brown, yes, Jeff Goins, Gretchen Rubin, Elizabeth Gilbert, and Alison Fallon, Donald Miller. This is just, I tried to put a symbol to each of the books that I like represented in here. Silk is my favourite book character, and my writing business name is Words Like Silk, so that's where that comes from. He just inspired me so much. Those books inspired me so much. Yeah, Ender's Game, love that book. So kind of just a fun one there. This one is called Hold Your Own Pain, a very big lesson I had to learn too. I learned a lot of lessons about pain. It's one of my themes in the mental health book that I'm working on at the moment. So one of the reasons that I saw that caused a lot of my depression and anxiety was because I didn't know how to deal with pain. My way of dealing with it was just to ignore it. And so I learned, obviously, to feel it. There's nothing wrong with pain. You just deal with it in a healthy way rather than ignoring it. But this one was about how I, for some reason in my life, got the idea that I was responsible for people's pain. So if I saw people in conflict or something, I would want to be going to them and saying, oh, how can we make this better? How can you be friends again? If there was pain, I would be all like, how can we fix it? I'd rush in and try to rescue people, you know. And not a good thing. I thought I was doing a good thing, but this was me not being strong enough to let people deal with their own pain. I had to learn that it's, one, none of my business. Of course I can have empathy and be there for people, but I can't take on their pain. Their pain belongs to them. For some reason I took it on myself, put it on my own shoulders, and thought it belonged to me, and thought that I was responsible for fixing their pain. But if I try to do that, it actually robs them of having to walk through their own journey with pain and dealing with their own pain. So we are only responsible for our own pain. Don't take on anyone else's pain, because they're responsible for taking on their own pain. That's their job to look after their pain. It's our job to look after our own pain. And that's enough. Like, I feel like we're only equipped with enough to deal with our own pain, to walk through it and heal through it. People have to do that on their own. Like, of course, we've got to be there, and counsellors help people walk through their pain, but it's got to be them who finally addresses it, faces it, walks through it, deals with it. We can't walk through it for them. We can only hold their hand while they're going through it. And that was the hugest weight off my shoulders. I was just getting so tense and stressed because I couldn't fix the pain. I was trying so hard. And then as soon as I finally let go and entrusted people with their pain, to go, I trust you to be strong enough to deal with your pain, which was really hard. Then maybe one of the reasons also I took on everyone else's pain was so that I didn't have to deal with my own, because I didn't deal with my own. I was too busy dealing with other people's. So once I finally let go of other people's pain, my hands are free to now go, oh, I actually have a lot of pain in my own life that I need to deal with. Okay, now I can do that because I'm not rushing around trying to fix everyone's pain. I can now look at my own pain, address it, walk through it, face it, and find my own strength to deal with it. So deal with your own pain and take off that burden, that guilt that you need to fix other people's pain. It's hard. It's definitely hard to let them walk through it, themselves, but that's the only way we can walk through our pain, is if we deal with it ourselves. So this one here is called something like Everything I Have. I can't remember the exact titles, and sometimes I don't remember the exact stories until I go back to the notes, but on the boxes it says love, strength, hope, power, freedom, joy, self-control, peace, and choice. And this was all about how we can think how can I explain this? We can think that these things aren't ours, but actually, for example, metaphorically, we have a cupboard, and if we just open that cupboard, we'll see that these things are already ours. They belong to us because God has given all of these things to us freely. And we might struggle and urge and fight to find these things when we don't have to, because actually they're already there. We just need to take it off the shelf and open it up. And that kind of helped me, stop struggling and, trying to find these things and how can I get that and how can I get that and whatever, and to realize, hang on a minute, it's just a flipping of perspective. To say to myself, actually, I already have it, changes my, how my peace comes to me. So instead of rushing off to find it, I can go, hang on a minute, I already have it, and then access it. It's definitely a challenge, but just a shift in perspective. And this one is kind of a fun one. It's just called Transcendence, and more just an artistic expression of kind of philosophical concept I was going through at the time when I drew this. And it's all about how I see stars and rainbows as transcendent, because when I look at them, I am connected to God. I feel connected to Him as Creator and to His power and His glory, because I can just see it all on display, through His rainbows and stars. And these things are things of beauty, of transcendence, that take me to a higher level, a higher plane, a higher place, to a heavenly place. So there's lots of stars here, and then the rainbows. But then there's this level of, this is where it gets kind of philosophical, how we're on Earth right now, so our things where we see transcendence is just a glimmer. And I can get really frustrated with that, because I'm like, oh, this is so good, this thing is so amazing, and I want to take it all in, but I can't, because it's heavenly stuff and I'm human stuff, and I'll try to describe it and define it, wrap my head around it, and I can't, because it's just too big for me, it's too transcendent. But at the same time, it's good. I like that feeling. I don't like that feeling because it's too big for me to handle, but at the same time I like it because it's, connecting me to all these transcendent things. And it's just a glimpse of how much more there is. So one day, when heaven comes to earth and we're in our heavenly bodies and all that kind of stuff, we can fully take in this whole transcendence and beauty and glory, and oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what that would be like. But this just all points to it. The stars and rainbows point to so much more transcendence, so much more beauty, so much more glory. Alright, this picture here is called Through My Eyes, and I actually was planning on writing a book called Through My Eyes, a bit of a memoir / autobiography, I suppose. That was my title, Through My Eyes, and I was just going to track, my life journey. And the point of this one, I suppose, is that when I write, that's when I can best communicate how I see things, how life is for me. I can kind of feel like, not that no one sees it, but that no one knows exactly how, and of course this is true of everyone, because we can never ever get into someone else's being and see how things are from their perspective. But I guess I have this part of me that really wants that. I always say things like, I want to get into your brain, and I wish you could swap brains so I could see things how you see them. I really love that. I want to see how other people think. I want to know their experiences and their dreams and their passions. I just love people, getting to know people on a heart deep level. And at the same time, then, I want people to know me at that heart depth level. But it's kind of impossible, obviously, because we've only got language, which is limiting to describe what we're going through and what we see. But for me, the closest thing that I can do is write and share my life experiences through writing. So that's that one. Oh, okay, this one I'm not really sure. It looks more like a diagram than an artwork or picture. And I can't quite remember what I was going through. I was in a very deep thinking moment at this time. And I'm just trying to see, I'm reading it here, trying to work out. My conflict here was that I saw things a certain way, and then there was this barrier though of how things really were. I think that's what it is. You know what? I'm not going to try and put words to this. I think I will have written it somewhere down, so I'll have to go check that and then come back to this. I don't want to say something that it isn't about. Let's go to ones that I do know what they are about. So that one, yeah, it wasn't expressing, I don't know. I was expressing more a thought that I had, and the thought was very, again, philosophical and deep, and I couldn't really wrap my head around what my own thoughts were, and I was trying to draw it and express it, and you can see that I didn't even get it across to myself. Usually when I see a picture, I know exactly what I was thinking and feeling at the time, but I was struggling so much with what I was thinking at this time that I don't even know what I'm writing there. I didn't capture what I wanted to capture, obviously, there. This one's called No Go Zone. It's called No Go Zone. And at a time when I was struggling with pain and grief and loss and rejection, I had this image of myself where it was just like I had this giant cross over me. I was crossed out, and it was like I was barricaded by all these fences, and there were flashing lights and all these signs put up around the fences saying keep out, stay away, beware, danger, warning, all that kind of stuff. And it was just to warn people, stay away from me because that's going to protect you. I had this idea, yeah, I was not a good person, that I'd always hurt people, that don't bother with me, I'm too much work or something like that, I'm a burden, I'm all messed up, so it's safer for everyone if you just stay away. And I felt like everyone else had ticks, they were all fine and they were safe people to get to know, and I just thought it was better if people didn't know me. It would save them the trouble. And I felt like, because on the outside people might think, oh wow, she's awesome, she's great, let's get to know her. But I wanted to protect them from getting to know me, because I was like, if you really knew me, you wouldn't, it's just a mess. So yeah, kind of a dark picture, but again, I just like the idea of sharing experiences. You know, there's nothing scary or wrong about feeling like this, and maybe there are other people who have felt like this at a certain time. At a time when I was struggling with that grief and loss and rejection, that's when I felt like this. And so yeah, you know, replacing it with truth and that whole journey of knowing, well, yeah, I am someone worthy to, I am someone worth getting to know, I can be a safe person, I can be good for people. Just that struggle, the whole struggle though of that, I couldn't see that at all at the time. I was like, no, I'm not a safe person, I'm not good for anyone, I'm just bad for everyone, and that kind of thing. So that's that one. This one is called Shatter. I'm pretty proud of this one because it kind of captured very well what I was going through at this time. It's another one of those self-portrait ones, and this one's about anxiety and how I got to a point where I was just so anxious that it felt like any little thing would make me shatter. You know, I felt like an egg, and the layer over the top of me was so thin that if anyone just poked me at all, I would have just completely just broken. And yeah, I couldn't control it. Usually I'm a very controlled person. I can keep my emotions in check. I can control how I present myself, if that makes sense. But at this time it was kind of freaking me out because I didn't have any control of myself. It felt like my face would just break. It felt like I would cry just without warning at any time. And I was just like, no, I can't do this, I can't do this. I couldn't be with people because I was just too scared that I would break in front of them. So again, there was that whole shame. I didn't want to break in front of them. I didn't want to show them my pain. I didn't want to show them how fragile I was. And And yeah, it was just hard to be with people, go out the house because of that. I was trying so hard to cover it up, but I got to a point where it was so bad that I had no effort anymore. I had no energy to cover it up anymore. It was just there, and I felt like I just had no smile anymore. I didn't have the energy to smile anymore, is basically what I'm saying. Because I am generally a cheery person, smiley person. I actually got the nickname Smiley from the Macca's person. She nicknamed me Smiley because whenever she saw me, she would see me smiling. So that's kind of how I am. And even if I'm not feeling great, I will still, not fakely, but is that even a word? But just because I value it, I would smile because, you know, that's how you can bring a nice influence in the world or something. But I got to a point where I was just like, I don't have any effort to be like I normally am and smile, which was, you know, scary. So then there's all these words around it: sad, miserable, bland, hatred, annoying, overwhelming, silly, worry, blame, all these words over my head that were contributing to making me feel this way. And even just drawing this helped me to not just process it, but it, I guess, alleviated these feelings. Yeah, it got really bad, as you can see. I was just really, really fragile at that time. Oh, and here's that picture. Remember how I said keep imagination in your mind? Alright, this is one of my favourite drawings as well, not because of the drawing itself, it's pretty terrible, but the meaning behind it is one of the most meaningful ones for me. So, I don't even know if I can finish this in this video. Maybe I'll just record it and keep going and I'll merge them because this is an important one. So Krista Black-Gifford in that book Heart Made Whole mentioned about the imagination and how we can use it as a tool to connect with God, and C.S. Lewis says that too. And I never quite connected with that idea, even though my whole life I've always valued imagination. It's been a big part of my life, imagination, and I love imagination. I just didn't see it as a way, as something to really value as a practical tool. I just saw it as like an airy-fairy fun thing to do. But now I saw it as like a life-giving, practical, helpful tool in our lives and in our relationship with God. And she was just saying, God gave us our imagination. It's a good thing. Let's use it in a good way, not to imagine horrible things. Let's use it to imagine good things. And that really helped me. So I had all these bad thoughts. I'm the worst person alive. I'm horrible. I can't do anything right. That's my imagination, playing things out and playing worst case scenarios and imagining all these bad things. Everyone hates me. If I do this, they'll hate me. If I go there, they won't accept me. That's my imagination being used in a bad way. Let's use it in a better way by connecting with God. And so I would sometimes and still use it as a tool to connect with God. So I'll just, you know, close my eyes or whatever and picture myself, place myself in a room or in a garden or somewhere, and then just meet with God there and just see what happens. So one time I did that. I was in a room and we were sitting at a table and he passed me a crown, and I was sitting with Jesus and he passed me a crown, and I was just like, I can't wear that crown, you know, just rejecting it because I just felt so, you know, unworthy of the crown. But he's just like, passed me the crown. I'm like, I just left it on the table. Then later on, I was actually at a conference and spent some time with God there, and he sometimes gives me like visions, not that I literally see them, but I just get these pictures, and he quite regularly does speak to me through pictures. You know, sometimes he speaks to me with a word or a sentence, but sometimes he does with a picture as well. And this picture that I got was a crown, and I could see the details of it and the design. So it was kind of like this. Like, I did a terrible job of drawing it, but it was silver, and all these had crystals on them, and those were crystals at the end, or diamonds, whatever. So it was a glittering silver crown, and it was like, I knew that was for me because it was me. I'm a silver, crystal, diamond person, not gold or anything. And he showed me, you know, he knows me, he designed it for me, you know, it came fully formed. It wasn't from me. I didn't design this crown. It just came fully in my mind like this. And so that's how I knew it was from God. And it just showed me, I can wear this crown because it was made specifically for me and by name. He was like, this is JD's crown. I made this for her. Oh, sorry, camera cut off, picking up where I left off. So yeah, this crown was made for me, and I kind of felt it on my head and could see it on my head and everything, and it just changed my whole perspective, because I, prior to going to this conference, I was at one of my lowest points, because I got this insight, that, a very helpful insight, sounds pessimistic, but it's very helpful. I realized that even if I am liked by everyone, and even if I perform well at everything, as a people pleaser and as a performer, it doesn't matter if I don't like myself. And I was just in a place of pure, self-hatred. And for the first time, I was just like, I don't care what people think, because I'm the one who doesn't like myself. And that kind of gave me a freedom. When I stop worrying what people think and I can just be authentic and be me, at least then I can like myself. I didn't like myself because I was being fake, trying to present this perfect image to people. So finally, when I let that down and was just a mess, even though I was a mess, I could still like myself in that mess, because at least I was now being real, which I only could figure that out by experience. If you just told me that, oh, you like yourself, you were a mess, I'll be like, no, I wouldn't. That would be worse. I would hate myself if it was a mess. But when I finally was just real to myself, I was like, oh, I actually do like myself better because I'm being real than when I was fake. And maybe other people don't like my mess and they reject me for it, but at least I'm being real, and that means more to me than them liking me. And yeah, that was a whole journey I had to go through to get to that point. So anyway, yeah, I was full of this self-hatred. I was like, what's the point if I don't like myself? What's the point of doing anything if I don't like myself? And then he gave me this crown, and it just spoke to me of, you're worthy, you're loved, I love you, and so you can see yourself as worthy, and you can like yourself, love yourself, and it doesn't matter what people think of you, because you know that I know you are worthy and loved, and as long as you know that, it doesn't matter what people think. So that helped. It changed my whole perspective. Like, the depression and anxiety didn't lift like straight away, but it made a huge change, and things were much, much better. From that point on, things just went better. From this point on, I haven't gone back into that spiral ever again since this point. So, and this was in 2016, I believe it was. Yeah, so, yeah, I kind of always imagined myself with this crown from then on, so I could have that dignity, I suppose. No matter what people thought of me, I'll be like, nope, I have a crown. That's what I would do. I'd just say, nope, I have a crown. I have a crown. So that was very helpful. And, that a word from God, a picture from God can change everything. So that's that one. I'm going to stop the video here now. I'll merge these two, and then I'll come back and share the next lot. And this is actually the most important picture as well in terms of what helped me with depression and anxiety. This is the ACT one, Acceptance Commitment Therapy. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!